All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the February 3rd meeting. It's a work session for the town of Forest Heights. If you could please silence your electronic devices, any phones, iPads, or other items before we begin. Ready to go? Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 7:32. Welcome to the February 3rd, 2025 work session for the town of Forest Heights, Maryland. This meeting will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Noble,
Here.
Councilmember Hines,
Present.
Councilmember Brownson,
Here.
Council President McDonald,
Here.
Council President McDonald,
Here.
Mayor Lilly,
Present.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Could you just notate that the other members are absent?
I have done so.
Thank you. Okay, next we will have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right, next we have meeting minutes. The meeting minutes for our last meeting, January 15, 2025, were distributed in advance. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes from January 15, 2025? Councilmember Brownson.
I just have one comment. I see Martin improvement in the minutes and some of the notes and discussions, so I want to thank you all for that. And someone had recommended before that when we join the members that are present, whether they are present in person or virtually, that could be indicated on the minutes. For the council, whether they're in person or virtual. That's a suggestion. Then also at the end, I don't know whether that's part of Robert's rule or not, but the time that we are joining, it's not this.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Madam Clerk.
I will update the meeting minutes to reflect the time that we adjourned and If approved by yourself, Mayor, I will also indicate whether the council persons were in person or virtual.
Any comment from council members? Oh, make sure to turn your mic on so those at home can hear.
I think that's a great idea. That allows us, because sometimes minutes aren't reflecting everything that happens. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Councilmember Noble or Council President McDonald? Okay, Madam Clerk. Thank you if you'd be so kind as to draft up those changes for our next set of minutes.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, if there are no further changes or additions to the minutes for January 15th, 2025 are approved as updated. All right, next we'll have approval of the main agenda. Is there a motion to approve the main agenda for this evening?
Make a motion that we approve tonight's agenda.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's main agenda. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, Madam, actually, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. And there was a thumbs up from Council President McDonald. All right. So next we will have a proclamation for Black History Month. Whereas Black History Month is a time to honor and celebrate the significant contributions and achievements of African Americans throughout our nation's history, as well as to recognize the resilience, creativity, and strength of Black communities. And whereas the town of Forest Heights acknowledges the invaluable impacts of African Americans on our shared history and culture, including their contributions to the arts, sciences, education, politics, business, social justice, and whereas we recognize the importance of reflecting on the struggles and triumphs of African Americans in the ongoing pursuit of equality and justice, as well as the vital role they play in shaping the future of our community and nation. And whereas the theme for Black History Month 2025, Celebrating Unity and Progress, reminds us of the importance of fostering understanding, respect, and collaboration among all residents to create a stronger, more inclusive community. And whereas the town of Forest Heights is committed to promoting equity, diversity, and inclusion and supports educational initiatives and events that highlight the history and achievements of African Americans. Now, therefore, we, the mayor and town council of the town of Forest Heights, do hereby proclaim February 2025 as Black History Month in Forest Heights. I encourage all residents to participate in local events, programs, and activities that celebrate the rich history and culture of African Americans, and to take this opportunity to learn, reflect, and engage in meaningful dialogue. Signed this day, February 3rd, 2025. All right, next we will have a presentation, a series of them, the first of which will be by the Forest Heights Youth Ambassador, Mr. Marley Cashwell. Good evening.
Good evening, all. It's been a while since we last spoke. I'm a whole year older and my hair has gotten lighter, so. All right.
Before you speak, just Nate, do we have the audio? Were we capturing the audio from Mr. Cashwell? Is your mic on?
Yeah.
There we go. Excellent.
All right, everyone. I am Marley Cashwell and I serve as your Forest Heights Youth Ambassador. And this year I have many aspirations that will help me do my part in making this town great and uniting our youth more than ever with a flurry of engaging activities. However, before I begin, I want to express how happy I am with the success of my first big project, which was the youth versus adult basketball game. For those of you who were there, you can attest to the fact that there was so much energy and fun being had that I believe if we had more time, we would have gone all night. But I mentioned that the youth one too. Anyways. In 2024, I also was blessed to be featured on the news not once but twice, gaining a large amount of experience in public speaking, fostering connections between youth, and overall being a contributing member of the place I call home, Forest Heights. But for 2025, I have really big expectations, and here are some of my proudest ideas. First, we have an event that I call Expressions of Tomorrow. Expressions of Tomorrow is a creative art showcase where young artists can display their work, perform, and or showcase their talents, i.e. music, dance, or theater. This not only provides a platform for youth expression, but also strengthens community ties. I also have down that we can provide a platform for youth artists to express their creativity. It'll also foster community engagement and support for local talent. It'll encourage collaboration among youth in various artistic disciplines. And finally, it'll strengthen community ties through shared cultural experiences. Are there any questions on that?
Councilmember Brownson, then Councilmember Nolan.
Thank you for such a nice presentation. Thank you very much. I have one question about your expression of ideas. Do you have any events that you have planned for the town of Forest Heights for to carry out this endeavor?
Can you rephrase the question?
Your idea for 2025 expression of ideas. Do you have any concrete events that you plan to sponsor or be a part of events for Forest Heights in 2025? Do you have an idea of what you would like to see as an event to bring your expression of ideas together?
Expressions of Tomorrow was one of the events that I'm proposing currently. Expressions of Tomorrow is simply the name of this art showcase.
Oh,
That was the first idea.
oh, okay,
It's like I should have made that clear.
okay, gotcha.
No
So
problem.
you don't have any particular events that you have expression of tomorrow? I mean, like a arts festival or or art fair or anything like that planned? Oh, you have to.
That would be the showcase that I explained.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Councilmember Noble.
Thank you so much. I'm very proud of you. And the town is as well. So we appreciate your youthfulness and just bringing fresh ideas. On the what you propose for 2025, do you have a proposed date? Or will it be here in the town? Or where do you?
I would love for it to be here in the town, but no dates are finalized and we
Okay.
don't have any tentative dates currently.
Okay, well, let's start planning. Let's get the dates so we can get on the calendar. Let's book the town hall because I think the mayor will make it available. We may kick him out, and let you have it, right? So, when do you graduate?
2027.
Oh, you got a while. Okay. Looking forward to more ideas and more planning. Thank you.
No problem. I actually have a few more ideas down if y'all would like to hear them. Next up, we have a petting zoo. This is for the younger children who we have here in Forest Heights. And my vision was that we could partner with a local petting zoo or animal rescue to bring in friendly animals for children to meet and learn about. This was inspired by the event that we had on Halloween, and there was pets for the children to come. And I saw that a lot of the children enjoyed it, so I figured that we might as well expand on it and make it a full event for children to come and see all the different kinds of animals and learn about them. Are there any questions on that?
Councilmember Hines.
I wanted to ask you about the expression event. Are you talking with Potomac High School or any other high schools you're gonna get the word out and
Yes.
collaborate? But is it just for the high school? Because there are some middle school and elementary school kids that would, do art. For the high school.
It will be youth for all ages. And speaking of partnerships with schools, over 2024, I have built a relationship with Oxon Hill High School where I do go. Um, the SJ coordinator there and the principal have a good relationship with Mayor Lilly. We've contributed certain things to them and they've contributed certain things to us. So I feel like we've built a little bit of a rapport with Oxon Hill. Which brings me to my next event, which I call the Gridiron Games. And it would be a football one-on-one tournament where the winner will win a prize. I know I sound very sports heavy, but trust me, I have a lot of other ones. These are my my main ones that I have perfected to bring towards you all. Yes, merely I have a whole folder of ideas. Um, yes, Gridiron Games is a one-on-one football tournament where the winner will receive a prize, and then at the end we can have a 7-on-7 game. This will promote teamwork, sportsmanship, and physical activity among the teams. Are there any questions on that?
Councilmember Brownson, then Noble.
So is gridiron football,
Yes,
would it be flag football?
yes,
Okay, and so it would be both genders.
yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
No problem. Can't do tackle football. I knew we couldn't do that. Oh yeah, no problem. Finally, as I end off my main events, okay, no problem. I figured that once you all heard these ideas, you would be thinking money. So I had to come up with some fundraising ideas. And two of the big ones that I came up with was a car wash and a dog wash because I know a lot of people around Forest Heights love their animals, and I figured it would bring in a lot of money to be able to fund these events. Are there any questions?
Councilmember Noble.
I want to go back to the petting. I know the petting for the children, but we have a lot of seniors over 80, some close to 100. And animals do something for older people too. So if we can kind of coordinate that. And then on your football game, if you could mix the old with the young, because I don't want, the youth always winning. Well, they can win it as long as they have some older people on the team. So let's kind of mix that up a little bit. I don't know, right? Right, Chi? That's right. Thank you.
He's trying to play some football.
That's right. She's gonna play. He gonna get on the right team. And then also on your fundraiser, I think it's a great idea for the car wash, but you're probably gonna have to do a series of car washes to raise money. People will donate as well. And also you may want to consider some kind of raffle. I know we may have something, or maybe we could do an auction because we could partner, adults can partner too, on how to just get this, raise some money. All right, thank you.
No problem. Well, in conclusion, I am excited to continue to serve here in Forest Heights and make 2025 a year to remember. And I truly believe that with the guidance of Mayor Lilly, Keith Holland, and my mother, who is at home, and this powerful town, that we can get that done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cashwell. And I'll just add as a note that we do meet on a regular basis. And so in the meetings, we're helping to bring structure to some of the ideas and make sure promotion, scheduling, and some of the other things he mentioned are components, some of the other things that council mentioned are components of that. And as it relates to the dates, we are going to make sure they're planned out far enough in advance so the community gets a chance to come, council's informed, and we really turn out as many people as possible. So thank you for your presentation today and for your questions from the council. All right, next we will have a presentation from Mr. Robert Diss, who is with Lindsay and Associates, an accounting firm. if you could, your mic may not be on, and folks at home can't hear. We also stream, so we're gonna make sure we have you on.
Okay.
Now you have to start from the top.
Just pay no attention to me, just like my wife does. Pay no attention. But anyway, if you can't tell, I'm an accountant. What else would I do? A middle-aged guy like myself. We're a public accounting firm. And we do audits. In fact, municipal audits is probably about 75% of what we do. I was asked to come here by Todd Frankenfield, who I think is behind me. And he sent over some information. I don't know how much you know about us. You may have heard about us because we audit probably most of the neighbors. Capital Heights, District Heights, Upper Marlboro, Laurel, Hyattsville, North Brentwood, Cottage City, Edmonston, Berwyn Heights, and I'm sure I've left out a couple of them. Okay. And we've been around for about 30 years. In fact, 30 years, a couple of months, just last fall. I've been with the firm for 25 of those years. We're a veteran-owned firm. I'm a veteran. My wife is, our son is, his wife is, everybody is, it seems. And I just thought I'd come down and introduce myself and give you some promotional items that I have over there. I don't know. He's already given me, I think, the engagement letter for, I think we agreed on 24, fiscal year 24. You're finishing up 23 now.
We are finishing 23. We have the engagement letter for council to consider. It was on the agenda. And Mr. Frankenfield is here in the meeting. If he had anything else to add related to this presentation.
No, just Bob, thanks for joining us this evening for the mayor and council. I've worked with Bob at other municipalities, probably going on 5 years now. Very reputable firm, very familiar with all items of municipal service. I've always had a good experience. The key thing that I see in the difference between his firm service and some of the other auditors we've had in the past is the timeliness and the efficiency and the ability to move through the process that I think is challenging sometimes given our current situation. So comes very highly recommended. I can give you names of other clients that work with Bob and his firm and will say great things of him.
I've worked with, we worked with Todd about 5 years or something. I don't think I've ever actually met you. We'll talk on the phone and email constantly. But I don't think I've actually met you.
Thank you, Mr. Dis. Are there any questions from council for Mr. Dis? Councilmember Noble.
I know, Mr. Frankenfield said you can't highly recommend it, but was that by him or he's disappeared off the screen?
Yeah, well, he did. I mean,
Okay.
feel free to, I've got references, but you
Okay.
can call any of our clients.
Okay, very good. And is this a family accounting firm? Because you,
No,
okay,
I mean, like the family.
okay, yeah.
Councilmember Noble, also, I think in the agenda packet, there's a list of other municipalities serving as references.
I brought some credit because,
Okay, that will work. Thank you.
but yeah, once you finish 23, we'll get started on 24 right away because unlike most accountants, I don't do taxes. I've never done a tax. No, it's not our business.
Thank you, Mr. Dis. I see a hand raised. Did you have a question, Councilmember Brownson?
There's somebody else here.
Okay, I'll go to Mr. Best first. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Mr. Treasurer, and Bob Dis. I just wanted to say I've been a municipal attorney for 20 years, and I've known Mr. Dis for many years. He represents a couple other clients that I represent as well. He's never had any problems or difficulties. He seems to be of high repute and always done a good job, so I would recommend him as well. So if there's any questions of me, I'll be glad to field them. I have not seen the retainer letter or been asked to review it, but I have a great deal of respect for Mr. Dis and Lindsay and Associate. So I'll yield. Thank you.
I didn't pay him.
Thank you, Mr. Best. If I'm not mistaken, the agreement is part of the agenda item for tonight.
I think I printed that out.
In there. Ms. Chisholm, was the engagement as part of the agenda as an attachment for tonight on the legislative item? If not, that is okay. Mr. Just does have copies here.
I believe it was, Mr. Mayor, for the council persons who are present, it should have been in their packets that they picked up from me
Okay.
or that I sent out to them.
All right. Well, if you have the ones that are here, if those members in the audit in the attendance tonight don't have them and need one, we'll distribute one to you. Councilmember Brownson.
I have a question, and it might be part of the engagement letter. Because one of the things we talked about in our meeting is that the resolution doesn't give specifics on timeframes and any consequences if he doesn't deliver what he promises. So I don't see none of this in what we have. So maybe that's in the engagement letter, if we don't know
Well,
about.
those sort of things are not in the engagement letter, but if you, sometimes, not always accounted right up a separate contract. Of course.
Well, and one of the things says a proposal, and I don't see a proposal attached to it.
Just a moment, Mr. Dis. Yes. So the proposal should have been part of the agenda, but if not, Ms. Chisholm will pass out those for members who didn't have one, so you can review. And yeah, there will be so timelines. Mr. Dis, can you answer on that question? It doesn't. I don't know if that's how you would answer that.
I mean, technically we could get started. now. We usually don't get started until after, the previous audit is done, but, if we're doing 24, well, you've already done all your transactions. So, we do the audit in two different phases. One is we test interim test control, where we test revenue, expenditures, and payroll. Well, all that's already done. We can already select the sample and test that now. And then the other, usually after the end of the fiscal year, which again is now, we look at the, like your bank recs or things like that. And those should all be finalized as well. There may be some adjustments though, prior audit, there's about 3 of them. We wouldn't do those right away. But then, and really the timing of it depends on the town. It doesn't take long to do an audit. Usually the longest part of an audit waiting, we select a certain item and then we wait for the town to give us the code. I know, a lot of times we'll ask for things like the trial balance and they don't know how to do that. I know Todd knows how to do that. It's a good thing you're working with him. We've worked with him on a number of counts. I'm not certain. He knows what he's doing. He knows what we're going to ask for. He knows how to play. So it should go very quick.
Thank you, Mr. Dis. Councilmember Bronson.
Okay, so very quickly, it's not a date.
Right. Right. Because it depends on the count. If we ask for, a seat for this, and you say, I don't know, let me go look for it. Well, we can do an audit in, let's say, 2 months. We provide everything. But if you sit around and say, I don't know, what's this? I don't know. Well, it's going to take long.
One other thing I would add is that we actually are coming up on the first full fiscal year that Mr. Frankenfield has been the treasurer and has been overseeing the finances and transitioning, also over the record keeping. So we anticipate that it'll be easier because in years past, we were trying to get documents and information that prior staff have been overseeing.
I agree.
Councilmember Noble.
I think that's part of my question. And this is to the treasurer. The the request would go to you, and we do have receipts for everything you have paid out. Do we?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we've done a great job of all of our systems are online now. So, like any check that goes out, there's an invoice in bill.com and we can pull it with a couple clicks. So, yeah. But as far as roles during the audit process, generally I work directly with the auditor and then I'll task the town staff with other items that would be in paper in the town. You know, hey, we need a list of minutes, we need the titles for the vehicles, and we kind of all play a role in the documentation grab piece.
Okay. I feel a little, I mean, it makes me feel a little at ease that it all comes from you, most of it. But then the other part on the titles and everything, I don't know about that in the town. You know, the list of,
We might be able to get them from the prior auditor. That's one of the things we also do, is talk to the prior auditor. And if they've got certain things, permanent folder items, we call them, we may be able to provide them.
okay. Well, I'm looking forward to looking at the engagement letter and these recommendations and things like that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Best, for your recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Dis. I just want to make sure, I know I have one council member, Council President McDonald, who's online. Did you have any questions? I wanted to make sure I didn't bypass you. Okay, I don't hear anything. So I will take that as a no for now. Mr. Dis, thanks for your presentation and for answering our questions.
Thank you. There's business cards and other things in there. If you have any questions at all, feel free to contact me. Yes, ma'am.
You have a website?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
We are acpafirm.com.
thank you.
I didn't think of that.
That's a good one. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Dis. You too. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, I did want to go on record indicating that the engagement letter was not distributed. The references were added along with the resolution that goes along with, for Lindsay and Associates, but I will get the engagement letter out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for that clarification. Okay, next we will move to the next item on the agenda, which is the presentation of the Law Enforcement Appreciation Proclamation. This is actually an item that was read last month, but due to an emergency, Chief Reese was not here. So since he's here today, sir, if you come forward, we're going to present you with this proclamation, and any other council members in the building this evening who would like to join. And this proclamation says, whereas the town of Forest Heights is a community united in its commitment to fostering inclusivity, innovation, and sustainability, while preserving the unique character and natural beauty that define our home. And whereas the residents of the town of Forest Heights continually demonstrate resilience, generosity, and civic pride, contributing to the betterment of our town and well-being of its people. And whereas the town of Forest Heights recognizes the unwavering dedication, bravery, and sacrifices of local law enforcement officers who work tirelessly to ensure the safety and security of our community. And whereas commitment of law enforcement personnel to uphold justice, maintain public order, and build trust with the community is essential to the well-being and prosperity of Forest Heights. And whereas January 9th is observed as Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, providing an opportunity for our town to honor and express gratitude to the men and women who serve in law enforcement roles. And whereas it is fitting and proper to acknowledge and celebrate the contributions of our local law enforcement officers who exemplify professionalism, courage, and dedication. Be it further resolved that this proclamation serves as a call to action for all members of our community to join in expressing their appreciation, support, and respect for our local law enforcement officers and their families. Now therefore be it resolved, we the mayor and town council of the town of Forest Heights and its citizens do hereby proclaim January 9th, 2025 as Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in recognition of the remarkable contributions of law enforcement officers to the safety, security, and spirit of our town. Now, this was signed, supposed to be signed on January the 6th, but today we'll present it to the section. All right, next we will move to council member and mayor reports. And first we will have Council President McDonald from Ward 1.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Sorry I'm not in physical presence. I've been battling a bad cold and I'm still like trying to get over it. So anyway, I would like to share what I have here for my report. I was invited by Mr. O'Connor, project manager, for a walkthrough with the grand tour for the community garden grant. And this new work creation will be done by, of course, Denny House. There should be some fun stuff this season at the garden. I've been going back and forth with Leo Pierce at the Sustainable Maryland to get a meeting with the green team. We still haven't had a chance to pin down a date. So hopefully that'll happen in the next 2 weeks or so. So look for that. And if you're interested in volunteering, please let me know, anyone who's interested in volunteering for the green team. The WABA Learn to Rise sessions will be coming up in April, so look out for that. Also, had an opportunity to meet with the commissioner of MNPP, the Maryland National Parks and Planning, and Mayor Lilly will talk some more about that. Some exciting news about that. And the Bell Acres, reopening of the Bell Acres Park Walk and Ride Trail. And also the Healthy Heights will host its first youth ride that day as well. So also I want to say that the Finance Committee meeting went well. And as you all heard, we are getting on track with our audits, which is very important. And also we talked about trying to find some revolving opportunities for the town as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your updates, Council President McDonald. Next, we will go to Council Member Brownson from Ward 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. We had our Ways and Means Advisory Committee meeting on January 25th. And the members of the advisory committee are myself, Council President McDonald, and Council Member Little. Council President McDonald was there and gave some good insight. But in the meeting, I went over the focus of and purpose of the Ways and Means Committee, because a lot of times the Ways and Means Committee and the Finance Committee, they sometimes get intertwined. So I tried to read the purpose of the Ways and Means Committee, just distinguish the difference between the two. So I do that again tonight. The Ways and Means Committee shall inquire into and consider the methods and sources for raising revenue and propose the means for providing the funds necessary by the town government. So that's what we focus on in our meeting. And Mr. Frankenfield gave a presentation. He gave us the status of our means for fiscal year 24-25 and said that we were in pretty good shape for 24-25 and we should be okay. But the problem arise when the 25-26 budget comes and most of our revenue stream have already come in for 24-25. So the chances of us getting more money, a lot of money to carry on our expenses for say July, August, September will be tight. And he discussed that we might have to tighten the budget in order to be able to carry on the services here in Forest Heights. So one of the things we discussed was we had proposed back in the last meeting that the analyzation for 210 down to Kirby Road, and I know that had been started, but and I think the IT, well, Mr. O'Connor is going to give the presentation of where we stand with that. For public safety's sake, we're trying to get the speed camera down 210 and help bring in some additional revenue for the town. So I don't know where that is. And another thing we talked about was looking into the amount of money that the county and state give to Forest Heights on their taxes that they give back to the town. And the treasurer, along with the intern town administrator, gave us a printout of what it entails in order to try to get more money in the town from the tax revenue that the residents pay. And one of the things that he discussed was that the town provides services, therefore the town get discounts on the town residents get discounts on their taxes. They provide 24-hour police service that gives us get the residents a tax break. And Public Works does certain things for the town, so that gives us a tax break. So one of the things that was in the proposal for the 25-26 budget was cutting the police force and maybe not having 24-hour service. So if we discussed it, if we do that, that might bring down or increase the amount of taxes that the revenue that comes back to the residents from that discount that they get as a result of some of the services that the town provide that the county do not have to provide for us. So it's kind of complicated, but he gave us a handout and explained it to us that it may not be a good idea to try to ask for more money from the county as far as, tax rate for the residents. And it's imperative that we keep our 24-hour police service because that is one of the things that the municipality offered to the resident and help us to be a municipality along with Public Works, the things that we do in Public Works. So we kind of strapped that idea as far as having a way of getting more revenue into the town. Then there was a proposal that maybe we can have a flea market or bazaar because there are a lot of equipment and materials and vehicles and things that's here in the town that we're not using. And we could sell those and get money in. I know we probably won't get a whole lot of money, but every little bit helps. So I know there's a lot of equipment that Public Works have that's not using. The police department got cars, there are laptops around here, monitors, things that we could have a big spring bazaar. And then we could also let the residents or people buy tables so they can sell their goods and charge a fee for the tables that's out there. So that was another thing. And then have it also at the same time we do maybe spring cleanup. That'll give people the opportunity to look at things that they have they want to get rid of. So maybe I can sell this. So that was one of the ideas that we came up and that we wanted to present to the council to see if that's a good idea. And I personally think it's a good idea. I think the people at the meeting thought it was a good idea. And we did have some residents there that was helping to, those ideas out. So it was a good meeting. That was one of the things that we talked about in our Ways and Means Committee. And another thing I wanted to bring up was that I don't know whether other residents got this, but I got this flyer in the mail. It comes with District 8 town meeting. It's going to be on the MGM local impact grant. And it's gonna be Saturday, February the 8th from 2 to 3:30 at the Southern Regional Technology and Recreation Complex on Bach Road. So I think I want to get that out to the residents. So if they want to, attend and the council attend and see what's going on with the MGM Local Impact Fund. I know there's a lot of meetings and stuff going around with that right now. And the one other thing I had a phone call and a text message about the incident that happened on February the 2nd, I think Saturday, about the Independent Investigation Division investigating a fatal police involvement pedestrian collision in Prince George's County. I don't know whether everybody's aware of that, but I know the chief is. And I just wanted to bring that to the attention. I wanted to ask a question about that. And I know that the police, Forest Heights Police Department was involved, and I was wondering if the chiefs could talk about if that was a secondary employment from one of the Forest Heights police officer, or because I got emails and stuff about it, so I was just bringing that up. Said you can elaborate on it. I know it's probably not, details are not public, but you could say something to the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson, for your comprehensive report, especially the items about the Ways and Means committees. It's really good to see the committees meeting regularly and getting community impact and feedback. And to your point on some of the revenue raising measures, I know that the speed camera was one of the things that we were working on. That's both a safety measure and there are fines and penalties paid for that. So looking forward to the presentation from Mr. O'Connor to see where that is with the state, because it has to go through a series of approvals and public works approvals as well for utilities. On the second point, the idea about the bazaar and the flea market, I wanted to piggyback on that because I think that's a good idea. And also, there's an opportunity that we have to maybe capitalize on maybe first Fridays or first Saturdays during the warmer months of the year, where we can maybe start with getting rid of some of the stuff we don't need to generate some revenue, but then we can invite some of our local businesses out. There's a resident who contacted me about starting a coffee business who lives in Forest Heights, and it creates an opportunity for us to create a little main street where the residents can come together and get to know the staff and get to know elected officials and each other. And then business owners who are in town, maybe they don't have a large location, but they can start to build up their customer base within the residents in town. So it becomes an opportunity for them to make money, for residents to get information, for us to connect, and also get rid of, do spring cleaning for the town at the beginning. So what I would like to do on that point is pass out, distribute to council a series of dates and maybe a short statement on what these events would be like, and then look at some of the maybe observations that are going to be recognized throughout the summer and the early fall, so we can tie in a theme for each one, get them on the calendar, and then get them in the newsletter so we can start bringing in some partners. And I think there are some businesses and some local groups that might even be interested in sponsoring some of them, maybe some food or maybe some other items, so that we can defray the cost and then start to build up momentum for that. So thank you for presenting that. Next, we'll go to council member. So you're Ward 2. We have, council member Hines, Ward 3.
Good evening. I want to say, first of all, I went to what was it? That was Saturday.
Yesterday? The vision board party.
Yeah, the vision, Sunday, I'm sorry. Yes. I went to, that was really, really nice. It brought a lot of people out. Did a vision board. And oodles and everywhere. But it was really nice. Parker was really, really scared. But also, I wanted to talk about the signs that are throughout the town for the election. I'm getting a lot of, residents coming to me telling me that, there's signs out that they've never seen in spots that they appreciate. So that's a plus. But they are still saying that they're slow and that they have to stop and they're getting beat. And I want to know if, we can maybe think about because I was under the impression that we were gonna get the banners and it was gonna be the truck that would have to hang them and everything over the entrances, and that would have been a great thing. So I would, yeah, we discussed that, we did. And, okay, so, also, I would like to know if possible, sometime, you know, maybe when the weather breaks, we can have an active shooter, back, you know, class where we can all come together and we can, you know, from last year that we did, this needs to be something that we need to keep in our toolbox, you know, we need to go over what is needed, what we did, you know, how we can, you know, so if we can think about doing that. Okay, and, my co-partner or my council, you know, Ward 3, because we're the best. We're talking about doing, we'd like to do, if we can get it, February 23rd, the building, if it's not taken in the, you know, I think that's a Sunday. If we can maybe, you know, we'd like to do a meet and greet and invite Ward 3, but not just exclusively to Ward 3, you know, Ward 2, Ward 1. Come out with your concerns, your issues, your comments, and we'd really like to host that. As far as the time, we're getting that together. But thank you. If we save that date. February 23rd.
Well, Councilmember Noble's next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee, and we met on Saturday, January 25th, these days. And Chief did a great presentation. We recapped 2024 and talked about the trends, which included car thefts and break-ins. And we talked about 2025, what can we do differently or better as far as the safety of the town of Forest Heights. And one, with the participants, we're for increasing policing in the town of Forest Heights, staffing, that means staffing. And so we got a preview of the budget and we said, something's not going to work. If we have to pick up some trash, we'll do that. So, and we had Detective Bigelow, who gave us update on the cases that she is working on. And investigator Cephas, also, the town is just growing. I mean, it was a time when we just had police officers. We have detectives, we have investigators. So we are really growing and moving forward. The chief and I talked on a sidebar that we're going to revamp the neighborhood watch. And also we had Rapahoe Joe, Hollywood Joe was in attendance. And he suggested that, like you, Mayor, that we have like a first Saturday, something going on in the community. And the more I thought about the dates, if we just took 1 month, well, we know the first Monday we have a work session. The third Wednesday we have a town meeting. If we had something on a Tuesday, just throughout those 7 days that we get people accustomed to this kind of routine to come to the town hall. I don't know how we can work it out because as we can see, this room is just full of so many residents that if they were in the routine of coming to the building, they may come out more often. And also, I have some more things for the Ways and Means committee I wrote down, but I'll share with you offline. On the snow removal, again, the residents praise the snow removal. I did have one concerned resident, her driveway was blocked and her walkway was blocked. So her son had to come and shovel her out. So if we could just, and I told her it probably was one person in the truck, so they couldn't see. The goal was just to get the snow out the way. So that was just an update. And on pre-dry, where we had the street repair, and I don't know if that, what phase that was in, but where at the driveways, that's deteriorating the cement. So we may need to take a look, and I don't know if that's a public works, maybe come around and look at what's going on. Forest Heights Elementary School, last week, Councilwoman Brownson and myself, we went over to Forest Heights Elementary School. And when we went there, there's so much trash there. We did talk to the principal and to the secretary as well, that we want to create some cleanup. And I don't know if where the trees were cut down, where it's gated, do we have access to that area where we can unlock? Because it's just trash there. We want to, when our students or just students go to school, they should have a clear path. I mean, it's still election signs there on the ground. So we just want to figure out what days we're going to go there. Maybe Public Works will volunteer and we can clean that up for them. We also walked the Bell Acres Trail, which was beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, trash can, one little bench, we could have more benches, but that's okay. Not complaining. So that was nice. And then for Black History Month, I just want to say that Harmony Hall has a display for Black History Month. So it's a lot of things going on at Harmony Hall, a lot of artwork, a lot of performances. So you can check the calendar for that. And always for Black History Month, I always want to recognize Sue E. McGinnis, the first African-American mayor of the town of Forest Heights, the first woman. And she was elected May 9th, 2001. And I want to just talk about or just extend my condolences for those families who lost loved ones on the plane and the helicopter, the plane in DC and in Philadelphia, as well as locally, we had some house fires where we lost community. So just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And I think that concludes my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. I see Council President McDonald's hand up.
Yes, I just forgot to add into my report and ask Chief Reese if he had an opportunity to go and speak with Mr. Boone over on Arapahoe Drive. He says that he's not had water for 3 months now, and it's apparently a permit issue with the town. So, and then also I had shared that he had sent a complaint to me about the trash coming from Ottawa over onto his property in on Arapahoe. So I didn't know if we had followed up or had an opportunity to follow up with Mr. Cosby. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. The email related to the resident on Arapahoe Drive, I saw that at least it came through my inbox right before the meeting. So we'll be following up on that after this meeting, likely tomorrow morning. And the other issue I'll let Chief research and get back to us on, but thank you for adding those two comments. Councilmember Noble, yes.
Council President McDonald just made me glance back at my notes for the public safety. She suggested lighted traffic signs at the stop sign, the yield signs or what have you. So we need to determine first the cost and then the location, or the location, then the cost, if that's feasible for the town to invest in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Okay, next I will Going to present here. Okay, so for the February 3rd, 2025 update, just collected a couple of things. Thank you for council members for bringing so much information to residents for this month's meeting. So one of the main things that we worked on since the last meeting is we wrapped up the application window for the permanent town administrator role that closed on January the 30th. And the applicants who applied within that window have been, we've taken into account of who that was, and we've provided a list that council has in the packet today with all of those persons, their resumes, and if applicable, the cover letters. There are some individuals who are highly recommended or highly qualified. So once you look at that list, you'll be able to just review the information, make sure that is true. And then the next step we'd like to take from there is candidates who meet the requirements and our screen will then be invited to an interview with the council, which will be scheduled at a later time. Due to time expediency, we would like to look at the opportunity to get an interview scheduled maybe by or at our next council meeting on February the 19th. So just asking that if you get your feedback on if you have any other candidates need to be classified as highly qualified, if you could do so with that feedback by Friday, February the 7th. Also, recently, last week, the staff and Team Foresights had the first quarterly all hands meeting. And this was just to review highlights from 2024 and also to identify opportunities for growth and improvement in 2025. One of the action items that's going to come out of that all hands is that as a team we'll be coming up with a service level agreement. And this is basically a policy that we'll all adopt as employees and that will help us to serve the residents consistently and respond in a reasonable time. And one of the things we're expecting is that when you reach out to the town, if you go to our website or if you get an email from someone, you'll be able to know when to expect an initial response to your inquiry or phone call or email that we'll try to honor and measure that throughout the year to see how well we perform. And I want to thank the staff for being engaged and for coming up with good ideas about how we can improve the town. One of the other things that came out of that meeting, I think we're going to address later on the agenda. I may talk about it under new business because we talked about engagement with the community, responding to them, how we serve the community with excellence as we go into 2025. We're really excited also to report that the Oxen Cove Trail pedestrian bridge, which is behind Bell Acres Park, and at the end of that trail is finally complete. The National Park Service let us know last week they finished that replacement of the bridge. Is now open. And for the first time in many years, whether you're walking in a wheelchair, on a bike, young, old, large or small, you'll be able to get across to that trail, which leads to many, many acres of green space. The trail leads in front of Oxen Run. And when you're there, you can see across to National Harbor, you can see to Alexandria, Washington, D.C. It's a great natural space for residents and Forestsites to take advantage of. And we're really grateful that Congressman Ivey's office and the National Park Service were able to push this project through. And we want you to save the date. That's the next step. On April the 26th, which is a Saturday, we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony where we invite the entire community out to take part in rechristening the trail and looking at new benches and trees, which have also been installed. About 1.5 miles of pavement was repaved during this project. And we just think that it's part of us showing the best of Forest Heights and then also reminding people, and maybe some folks don't know, how many really unique assets we have in this town that we get to take advantage of. The time is not set yet. We're still coordinating with National Park Service, but once we get a date, once we get a firm time, we'll share the flyer out with the community and the council. We'll also be sharing it with our partners, some of the nonprofits who support and work with us, the churches, the schools, and our local leaders as well. Council President McDonald.
Now, I just wanted to add that we have also, and thank you, Mayor Lily, for that, because I'm excited about this particular project. We have also pressed the issue of getting proper signage because it's going to be a shared, um, bridge where there'll be people walking and people perhaps riding. So we're waiting to hear back from them on that too, as to when that's going to take place, because we do need proper signage for public safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. I agree. And so we're looking forward to reopening the trail and getting a lot more interest and activity, positive activity, and using it as one of the bright points in Forest Heights.
Also, real quick, Mayor Lily, if I may.
Sure.
WABA officials will also be at the ribbon cutting. So I just wanted to plug that in. They're also posting it on their website for their community. So it's going to be themselves and whoever else will be interested in joining us that day.
Yes, thank you, Council President. You brought up another point, which I want to emphasize, which is the Potomac River Keepers Organization is a nonprofit that works to clean out and to test contaminants in the Potomac River, but not just in Prince George's County or in Maryland, but along its long, many hundreds of miles of coastline. And Potomac River Keepers, I believe, have a cleanup later that day. And so what we're hoping to do is start the morning off by bringing everyone out to the site, doing a brief ceremony where we cut the ribbon, and then doing a cleanup directly after while we have all those people there so that we can beautify and bring awareness to the Potomac and its potential to be much cleaner, much more healthy for our community. So in WABA, just to explain, Council President McDonald mentioned WABA, that's the Washington Area Bicyclists Association. We're trying to tie in all of our initiatives, classes at Forest Heights Elementary for riding, cleaning up the river and providing folks an opportunity to see what's there now. We're trying to pull all that together so we use this event for maximum impact for the community. And it's Earth Day in Forest Heights. What better way to bring it in this year? Well, we will get the information to them once we have a formalized time. And it is on our staff's radar because I sent an email last week just to make sure everyone who's working in town gets a save the date so they don't miss it. Thank you for raising Denny House as well. This is the 25th anniversary of the If I Were Mayor 4th grade essay contest presented by the Maryland Mayors Association in partnership with the Maryland Municipal League. This is a contest where 4th graders all over the state get a chance to write 275 words about what they would do as mayor. Now, because we're a municipality, that means if you live in Forest Heights and you go to Flintstone Elementary or Forest Heights Elementary, you can participate. If you're in the 4th grade and you write an essay that's really wonderful, which I know you can do, you have a chance to receive a governor's citation and a trip to the State House, as well as a cash prize. So the deadline for this contest is Friday, March the 7th, 2025. And the way that it works is instructions have gone out to the schools via email and mail. I actually reached out to both schools as well last week, and I already have an opportunity to go visit Forest Heights Elementary at a date that will be confirmed soon. If there's any council who want to visit on that same day just to get behind this effort so we can encourage students to participate. Okay, so maybe John Hanson might need to reach out to them as well because they have a 4th grade class, even though they're multi Montessori school. Well, thank you for that note. So I'll reach out to John Hanson Montessori School to make sure they get a chance to participate as well, because we really want a winner from Forest Heights. We really want a winner from Forest Heights, and it's possible. From Prince George's County, exactly. So I'll be visiting the schools, and again, once I have the date for Forest Heights, I'll share it, and we get dates for the other 2 schools. We'll share it with council if you'd like to accompany. So we get our students to think about what they would like to do to improve the community, because they really are the future. And someone who lives here will likely be in our seats one day, leading Forest Heights forward. All right. We had our annual outdoor holiday decoration contest at the end of 2024 in December. And over the weekend, we were able to go out and present some of our winners who participate year after year, some of them, and we had some new winners as well. So this is just a brief slideshow of some of the folks who won. We had people on Delaware Drive. We had some on Quaid and on Terrell, on Onondaga, Seneca. We had some people on Cree Drive, some on there's another street I can't think of right now, Foxway. So we really had good representation from all around town this year. And we had several repeat winners. There's a gentleman who you can see with the lights in the back on the top picture. He has the world famous tree, which is lit every year that people say they can see from 210. And if you're on a good hill, you probably can see it from outside of Forest Heights too. So we just want to congratulate all of the winners this year. I also really want to thank our volunteers, Ms. Darlene Cooney, Monica Lawson, and anyone else who helped to put this program on. The awards that you see right here are the end. This is just passing out certificates, but they actually plan way in advance. They come up with the categories, they send out the notices to residents, and then they have different categories. They ride all around town and evaluate these different decorations, and then they rate and score them, and then they put the certificates together and they call the people so that when we come out, they're ready and they're at home. So it takes a lot of effort behind the scenes. So I just wanted to recognize them and anyone else who was involved with doing this. We look forward to seeing more people participate next year in this program. And did I miss anyone, Councilmember Hines, that was involved with this? Well, if you could share with us who else is on the committee. Because the mayor got pulled in. I get pulled in at the end just to present, but I know there's a lot of work that goes on before I get involved. Okay. Did you want to tell us who it is? Or you tell me and I'll say, who else is involved? You're on the committee? Well, come off mute and tell me who, come off mute and tell me who it is. Come off mute. You're still on mute.
I don't, oh, yeah, Miss Elaine Pittman. And
We thank Councilwoman Hines. I know she's very dedicated to the holiday season, and Miss Elaine Pippins. Thank you so much for volunteering year after year. I think what we should do next year, or this year coming up, since Councilmember Noble mentioned it, we should get our youth ambassador and some of our youth to get involved and maybe go out with looking or delivering certificates, or just get them involved so we make it multi-generational this year. All right. Earlier, Councilmember Hines mentioned that she was able to come out yesterday for our Vision of Love Vision Board Party. This was a collaboration between Asia Chandler, who hosts a radio show on 102.3. I think it's it doesn't matter. I don't know what it is. It's a 102.3. It's an annual celebration that we were able to partner with them and host this year. The Vision Board Party is a great event because you get to set out your goals for the year. And there were prompts, so you write down the 12 things you wanted to accomplish this year. And then there are plenty of magazines and other items for you to put together, encouraging, affirmational, and aspirational things together on a board that you can accomplish. So we had food, music. We had a lot of community vendors as well. A lot of folks, a couple people who live in or used to live in Forest Heights were here as vendors. And we had an amazing turnout. And so many people say when they come here, they didn't know the building was here. They've never been inside the building and they can't wait to come back. So we're happy to partner with that event. Thank you, Councilmember Hines, for coming out to support. And we hope that those who came were able to really get a good start to 2025. So I just want to share some upcoming meetings and visits that I'll be taking on in the next few weeks between now and our next meeting. Tomorrow, I'll be in Annapolis with Senator Muse, and that is for a discussion about how we can get some youth services potentially to one of our schools, potentially partnering with the Boys and Girls Club of Maryland. That was a longer range project, but we want to have some initial meetings to see what the possibilities are and what state support we can get for that. Also, Delegate Turner requested a town seal. Since Forest Heights is the only municipality in Legislative District 26 for the state, we're going to take a seal not only to her office, but to the other representatives. So the delegates and the senator will always remember Forest Heights, so that since we're the only ones there. And so those will be dropped off tomorrow. What was that? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. But we create a relationship and we keep foresights visible so that the initiatives that we talked about that we need, the initiatives that we have coming up, that we want to do to better foresights and Prince George's County and our local community will remind those leaders of ours that we're a partner. As I mentioned, if I were mayor, fourth grade essay contest visits to schools, that'll be coming up. And then our consulting firm is working with scheduling our visit for the council to visit MGM. And I think we'll have a number of dates to consider as possibilities this week. There's one item I wanted to bring to council and the community's attention. There's House Bill 349, Senate Bill 485, which is concerning speed monitoring on Maryland 210. Now, this is for existing cameras that are already there. There's a proposal from our state senator, C. Anthony Muse, and Delegate Chris Valderrama, both who represent District 26, to increase the fines as the speed increases so that excessive speeds are discouraged with a higher penalty as opposed to those who are slightly over the limit paying the same as those who are really exceeding the limit by 20, 30, 40, or 50 miles an hour. If the council is in support or in agreement, we can take a poll and see where we stand tonight. We can consider submitting a letter of support if the council is in agreement with doing that. And we can discuss that later in new business tonight. Lastly, we have an election coming up. The 2025 elections are going to happen on March 12, 2025 from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. here in the municipal building at 5508 Arapahoe Drive. We have this office of mayor and one council seat for Ward 1, Ward 2, and Ward 3 are up for election this year. The filing deadline is in 2 days. What's that, Wednesday, Madam Clerk? Wednesday by close of business. That's when the filing for candidates closes. That's the deadline. So we hope that those who are watching at home keep these dates in mind, especially March 12, 2025. We want to have as many people as possible come out, make your voice heard, influence the direction of the town, get engaged. And after Election Day, we hope that you'll continue to come out to committee meetings and to community events and also help us inform with your feedback what you'd like to see and help us decide on the direction that we'll take the town so that it benefits you. All right, that concludes my report for this meeting.
One quick thing, Mayor Lily, just to give you some, I guess, not clarity, but to confirm that the vision board was hosted by Asia at Magic 102.3 and 92.7 FM radio.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, thank you. All right, next we will move to public period. Public period is the time when members of the public can speak and provide comment. They're given 2 minutes to address the mayor and council. We do our best to answer questions if possible, but if we're not able to answer now, a response can be provided at a later time by the appropriate department head or official. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time? Okay. It doesn't appear we have anyone who wishes to speak at this time. So public period is now closed. Okay. All right, next we will move into resolutions. And the first resolution this evening is Resolution 02-25. And this is a resolution to amend Resolution 01-23, approving a merit systems pay scale for the town of Forest Heights general government employees and sworn personnel by capping the pay scale and making certain other changes. This is an item that appeared on the agenda at the last meeting and was tabled until this meeting to allow for further review by council. And this is sponsored by Mayor Lilly. Is it the council's desire to vote on this or discuss this item this evening? Discussion? Okay, discussion now. I just want to, I just want to catch if it's going to be for discussion before I, move it. Okay. Well, we're not going to vote on this evening. We're going to go ahead and discuss resolution 02-25. Councilmember Bronson.
Okay, so I see two forms, one from the sworn law enforcement pay scale. And then, but I didn't see one, the categories are by positions, but I didn't see one for the chief of police in this category. Is there a reason why there's not one for the chief of police?
I don't know that. Thank you for the question, Councilmember Bronson. Do we still have Mr. Actually, he may not know. Chief, do you know the answer to the question relating to the chief's pay scale being included in this resolution?
So the reason for that is, from my memory serving correct, is because since the chief is in an appointed position and, it's not, allocated, it was placed on the, civilian scale. So it's on the civilian scale, people.
Okay. So with that, the civilian scale, the merit salary schedule is what you're referring to as a civilian scale.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
It doesn't have positions or titles or anything. It just has grades. And that was gonna be my next question, is this has grade like grade 1. And at a salary step 1 at $29,000. But do we even have positions with a grade 1? So it appears that this is just was taken out of the government pay scale, because I was thinking that the merit salary schedule is by positions, which is good for the sworn police officer. If we could do something like that for the merit salaries, because we got steps 1 through 13. Starting at a step 1, I doubt if we'll ever in the town have a step 1 position for anyone. That's not even minimum wage to start. So my point is, I don't think this is realistic enough to narrow down something that's true and workable. And then it still has the 20 steps in the merit salary schedule. And I thought one of the reasons was we were going to cut the steps down, but this doesn't indicate that. That's my comments.
Well, maybe what we can do with this, I'll entertain, is there any other discussion on the resolution before I add a comment? Let me go to Councilmember Noble first.
I know for grade, I'm just looking at grade 1. It could be maybe, I don't know, like reduced hours, or it could be, you know, that you do have someone. But it doesn't have to be part-time. They could work more hours than part-time. You know what I mean? Like part-time is a certain number of hours, right? But they could work more hours than part-time. Right, full-time at this rate, right? But I guess for me, I wouldn't eliminate only because we don't know what times may dictate in the future.
Let me let Interim Town Administrator Chief Reese chime in.
Yes, sir. So I do remember when we were having a discussion, so, back then. Now, the merit schedule, there is a range. So at, the reason why it was built like this, because of the future that may happen within the town, that, for example, if we were to hire a position that we just created, we wouldn't have to make up a new scale. We will have a scale to go to for that, for the future, because this would be something that is stable, that, you know, an ad hoc, somebody would just come out with a salary out of anywhere, that we can always go back to the scale to go to. Now, the other portion of it is that, that it depends on what positions that you may come into the town. So, some scales are for, obviously, for public works, for the clerk, for anything now, as the town grows or anything like that, we wouldn't have to create anything new. It will always be here. I do know that. That's just from conversations that we had from when it was approved.
Yes, so the comment on that is, if you look at the the salaries of the staff now, you can't find their salaries, probably no place in the schedule.
So everybody, so that should not be the case. So what happened was, everybody that's currently, when we passed the current budget that we are in now, it was supposed to be put in place that it will fit into the scale. That anybody else that will be hired with the town, if we will refer to a resolution, it will refer to a grade and step as they would start. So the old employees, and I will research this, the old employees that were here prior to the step should be placed in the scale. Current, that should have been done on the current budget that we are in now. If that is not the case, then that's when we need to do that for the rest of the town. Though I do know on the police side, the sworn personnel got the salaries first. So what I did for my budget was, as the civilian staff, I placed them on the current budget that we're in now into the scale, so they know exactly where they are.
Right.
For the town side, I'm pretty sure that happened, but I can double check for you and report back.
So, like this is the proposed scale for the 25-26 years, that's what we work on.
So, talking about the scale that it is now. So no, so for example, and this is just a rough estimate. So prior to passing this in 2023, if an employee was at that time making $50,000 at the town, and that $50,000 was not placed on this scale, it's not on that scale.
Right.
The department head was tasked to put them closest to the step that they were, so they can be placed on the scale for the future, for the next budget. That's what should have happened.
But it did.
So I don't know, what positions are you speaking of? Which one?
Well, let's take, well, the only one I know is the clerk, and then I didn't want to take that one because she's here, but
If we want to move, I can research that and I can tell you if it's in the scale or not.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you, interim town administrator.
And then another part, you researching that, with the sworn law enforcements, the step ones that are here for these positions, is that where they are now?
Everybody's in step one. Nobody has had a raise since 2023 for the steps.
Okay.
Council President McDonald, did you still have your hand raised for a question?
No. I guess my question was, were these numbers or salaries included in the budget that we're currently operating from, or is it coming up in the new fiscal year budget? I think that was what Council Brownson's question was.
Yes, it was.
Oh, so did the scale, we previously adopted a scale. And so folks who've been hired since that time would have come in on the scale. But this is making changes to that scale, which was passed at the beginning of 2023 to make adjustments that would go into place for folks hired after the scale. If the scale is adopted, anyone hired after that. Is there any other further discussion on this resolution?
So I still can't remember what he said about taking it to 20 steps.
What was it that who said about that, Councilmember?
I was saying this has 20 steps on it, and I thought one of the things the last proposal they did was had 10 steps. So now this is back to 27.
So this was just a reference. Now, if this resolution is passed, it will go down to 20, it will go down to 10 steps. This is just a reference to let everyone know where it is now. And then if it is passed, it will go down to step 10. That's why it's on 2 different pages.
Excuse me? No, it's just continuous. Step 10, 11, 12, 13. No, it's not 2 different. It's continuous.
So what I mean is, if you look at the scale, they're on 2 different pages. So if you see the grade, so for page 1, it only goes up to step 10.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it will stop. So currently, if you look at grade 1 through 13, it's on 1 page, it only goes up to step 10. If you go further down, that's when you see 11, 12, it's on 2 different pages.
That's what I have. I said one.
Yes, it's page 2. So
Page 2 have steps 1 through 13 and it goes 11 through 12.
no, those are grades. The steps goes to 10. You're looking at the grades.
Okay, so the grades stop at 10 on the first page, then it starts at 11 and go to 20 on the second page.
Yes, let me interject. Council member, so basically what's proposed is that only the first page would apply. The same number of grades apply regardless of how many steps. But in the proposal before us, this resolution would eliminate steps 11 through 20. So you look at the first page and let's say, for example, you're in grade 1. You could go from step 1 up to step 10. You wouldn't be permitted under this resolution to go step 11 through 20. So you would be, your top end would be step 10 on the first page. And the additional steps on the second page would no longer apply, even though it's for the same grades. And the reason for this is in order to show that much on a horizontal layout, we've got to use 2 pages.
So the question is then, okay, take the position for the town administrator that's open now. And the salary starts at a certain amount that's not on this scale for step 1. So I'm trying to figure out how does that apply?
Well, the way that it would work is that that employee wouldn't be brought in at grade 13. They'd be brought in at a different grade. Am I correct?
Oh,
So yeah, I'm not sure. So what should have happened, and when creating that salary, someone should have referred to the steps.
exactly.
That's the problem. Nobody referred to the steps, and this is the reason why. So it will be easier just to do that.
Right.
I have a question.
Yes, I'm going to come to you in just one moment, Council President. Give me one moment. So the grade, though, if I'm not mistaken, can account for the range of the salary. Is that correct or is that incorrect?
That's correct.
Meaning one position could house multiple grades depending on the,
Multiple steps.
so the step is only going to be for the position.
So
Okay,
somebody
Okay,
can
understood.
come in at a different grade. Multiple positions can be in the same grade. It's just where you're placed in the steps.
Mhm. Right. So even if you were to place this town administrator, say in step 10 or step 11, grade 10 or grade 11, that's neither one of the things that the salary that was advertised in the what's the thing, advertised job.
Let me go to Council President McDonald.
I have a
Council
couple
President
questions.
McDonald?
Yes, I'm curious as to how this is classified. Where are we getting the classification from? And what are the intervals between the steps? So if someone was we were to onboard someone, what would be the criteria for them going from a step 1, 2, 3, and so forth? Have we identified that?
So the scale was based on a research that was done in a prior 2 fiscal years ago. And it established the potential scales for what pay could be. The pay difference between each one, it doesn't look like it's uniform. So we would need to have it calculated to get you an exact answer of the difference between each one. However, the basis for increasing or giving a merit increase is outlined in the charter, right? So the council can make a decision to raise pay after evaluations are done. So there's a process that has to happen before someone's salary is increased, including a resolution. And usually those increases will happen based on evaluation and performance. But to your point, I don't know if we have all the finer points that you just mentioned outlined right now. I'm not saying that we don't, but I don't have the information with me right now. Chief, is there any other information that you know that's documented that goes into the difference between each of the steps or the way that we determine what step increase someone gets?
So there is a resolution, I will have to pull it, that specifies the merit increases. We did, I think, pass that beginning of last year or the year before. Now, as far as the steps, and I do know that it is like, for example, the sworn steps, it is a 6.5 increase between steps. For the merit schedule, I'm not sure. I can get back to you on where it was pulled from.
And
Just one moment. Anything else on that, Council President?
I guess this is probably going to have or require some more discussion. So I'm glad we're having this chat, because there needs to be some definitions around what we're deciding as interval increases. Also, the personnel manual that I think we have been talking about that needs updated. I'm not sure if it has the formulas in it that it should have that will help us to determine the interval rates. Thanks.
Thank you, Council President. Can I go Councilmember Noble, then I'll go to Councilmember Bronson.
I think when the merit salary schedule, it would be easier for the future if at these grades, if we could identify that position. Just like on the police schedule, it's identified. So we know 13 is it's the town administrator, right? 13? Or it's the chief. It's one of the two. So we know, so if we identify those, because we can't assume from administration to administration that someone's going to figure this out. It's got to be clear. So if we could just identify, because I know one time, even in the budget, we had it all, each position, it was clearly written, this was a salary, it was just a beautiful package once upon a time. Maybe we'll get it again, but I think that will make it easier it's just too much to try to figure out.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Councilmember Brownson.
And I was back to the position and the grade. It doesn't necessarily have to be that the highest position in the town has to be a 13. It could be an 11, as far as grade. But I'm thinking a person doesn't necessarily have to come to the job at step 1. If they have the experience and they're grade 11, they can start at a step 4 or step 5. So all these things should be taken into consideration.
I would agree. I mean, if you will, Mayor, I would
Yes.
agree that, I think that's why some of the when resolutions are presented to you all, that you see that what grades they are in. And I think that has happened. Now, I did do my research. The position that you spoke about, or it is on there. It's actually grade 9, step 1. That's what's on the resolution and that's what it references. So what I would do is, well, not me, but in the future, what should happen is it could be such as like a ledger chart or something like that that made additional. So Mayor, if we're not approving this tonight, we can include this more, do a little bit more research, and we can include that for a little bit more clarity. But as I do know, as new employees come in, their resolution does specify which grade and step that they are in. So but I'll have that for the next meeting.
Thank you, Chief Reese. Let me go to Council President McDonald, then I'll go to Councilmember Noble.
I just had a question. I guess what I would like to know is where are these scales coming or where are the scales coming from? Are these state of Maryland pay plans or pay scales? I'm just trying to understand where the scales are coming from and where did the scales, what scales were used to create the charter?
Yeah, so the scales that are here were adopted in 2023 after a review of other municipalities and local government entities and some of the pay scale ranges that they have for positions that we have, such as public works, administration, and public safety.
I remember that coming up, but I guess again, what is the origination or where the scales originating? You were saying other municipalities, but there still needs to be some understanding as to where the scales are coming from. Are they issued by the state of Maryland from somewhere?
Sure. What we'll need to do is we have to bring this resolution back and add some more detail, and we can bring the original resolution, the 01-23, has information about the research that was conducted, and there's also discussion likely in the minutes around what data went into that, where that data was sourced from. And so once we bring the resolution back, that'll be some of the information we can provide as supporting detail. It exists. It's just not top of mind right or top of hand for us right now, but we'll work to get that back to you. Councilmember Brownson.
I do recall when I got on the council, I think it was 17 or 19, and the scale was first introduced. And the treasurer at that time said that the salary scale that the council approved could not be sustained by the town. So the council adopted it. It seems like now we're stuck with it, but we don't have to be stuck. That's my point. We basing it on something that we don't have to be stuck with anyway. So it's almost like trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Yes, it sounds like a great candidate for Ways and Means to start. I don't want to say from scratch, but just to take some thorough investigation. And let me go to our council online, Mr. Best.
Mayor and Council, I heard the president indicate that she was unsure where the pay scale came from. Did it come from the state? The answer is no. No other entity outside the town of Forest Heights mandates any level or configuration of a pay scale for a municipal corporation. You're a home rule organization under state law. You all have the power to decide. Now, having been the town attorney for a long time, for many, many years, the town did not have any type of step structure. The town put merit employee status into its charter and code sometime between 2011 and 2013. So the town is kind of an exception. The vast majority of municipal corporations are not merit employee jurisdictions. Your town is an exception, as it is the case with a handful of municipal corporations in the state, and counties as well have some merit employees. But that being said, when the step system came on board a few years ago, it was something that I think uh, the town administrator and the town treasurer got their heads together and they looked at other comparable municipalities inside and tried to gauge what those numbers would be, those salary scales. And they hammered that out and they put that before the council a few years ago. So it was based on examples in other cities and towns of comparable size. And they kind of took a shot at it and it was approved by the mayor and council at that time. So that's kind of the background on these resolutions and these pay scales. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Mr. Frankenfield.
Yeah, just to add one comment, reading the legislation, I'm at the bottom of page 2. It talks about that we're going to review the pay scale every year with the budget. So my takeaway from that is the budget is the deciding legislation. So we do have a second, we're having a lot of conversations about what grade and step all the staff fall into. But again, we're documenting that with the budget, and the budget supersedes the pay scale in place. So I just wanted to say that we're going to review all this with the budget process, and the specifics of the pay scale aren't as important as we're getting into this evening. So I just wanted to flag that language in the resolution.
Councilmember Noble.
I have a question and Mr. Best may answer it. Because we're not tonight, but we're going to possibly pass a resolution with this pay scale. Doesn't that legally tie us to this scale for its employees? I mean, because it's nowhere where it says the budget is going to supersede this adopted pay scale.
Let me start by saying that the charter mandates and commands that the mayor and council somehow in legislation set the salaries of all the employees and officers of the town. And you can do that a number of ways. You can do that by a separate resolution or a separate ordinance or by the budget ordinance or a budget resolution passed pursuant to the original budget ordinance that you pass in June. As far as the pay scales, as the treasurer indicated, it's your budget that normally reflects and sets the salaries and wages of all your employees. So that's the controlling document. The pay scale is more of a guide that can be superseded. Now, the pay scale is adopted by resolution, and the ordinance that adopts the budget supersedes any resolution. Kind of like state law supersedes any local laws or any local charter. So, likewise, the budget ordinance will supersede that resolution. Does that answer your question, Councilwoman?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Okay, sounds like we've had ample discussion on resolution 02-25. We've got a number of items to bring back, maybe as supporting information. We've also got some clarifications about the scale itself as a guide, the budget that we've adopted for this year that we'll adopt for FY26 will be the true limit, regardless of what the scale is. It will be the true limit setting the ceiling on compensation for employees. All right, next we will move to,
Real quick comment, Mayor Lilly. So
Yes.
therefore, do I understand all salaries are negotiable? Is it safe to say that?
yes.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll go to Resolution 03-25. And this is a resolution to approve a proposal and award a contract for auditing services for the town of Forest Heights for the fiscal year ending in 2024. Fiscal year 24 to Lindsay and Associates LLC to perform the year ending June 30th, 2024 audit of the town's financial records and prepare the financial statement for the town for the said fiscal year. We're not voting on this tonight, so this is up for discussion. And we had a presentation earlier from Mr. Dis, who works with Lindsay and Associates, and answered an initial set of questions. One of those questions was about the proposal, which was passed out. No, Madam Clerk, do you have any copies, or we just have a few at the moment? Is it limited, the number of copies we have? That's the engagement letter, yes. You have one, okay. Yes, let's do that. I will read a summary that may give some more information, and by the time I finish doing so, I think the clerk will likely be back with those additional copies. So, no, we're not. No, so the resolution outlines the approval process for hiring Lindsay and Associates LLC to conduct the audit for the town of Forest Heights financial records. And the legal requirements for the audit is that it's conducted annually by a certified public accountant selected by the mayor and council. And it specifies that the professional service contracts are negotiated rather than bid. Excuse me. Due to the backlog of work, the town is attempting to catch up and to begin the FY24 audit. As Mr. Dis mentioned earlier, some of the sampling, which can be done since the FY24 year is closed out. That helps us with the goal of catching up both FY23 and 24. FY23 is in earnest and moving toward this completion. This will allow us to get that work done so that we can close both audits out and be totally caught up with the state. The Lindsay and Associates LLC proposal that was submitted is for fiscal year 24, and the total cost for the audit service is $18,940, which includes all expenses and is within the allocated budget for FY 2024. And the additional detail is going to come from the proposal or the engagement letter, which Ms. Chisholm will be bringing momentarily for everyone else who doesn't have a copy. Councilmember Bronson.
Said that professional service contracts are negotiable. So they have a dollar. How much their professional service contract for this?
I'll pass that question to Mr. Best. I don't have access to the, let me see if I can hold this up there.
Mayor, you'll have to repeat that. I could not hear it.
I'll let Ms. Councilmember Bronson repeat.
My question was, he stated that professional service contracts are negotiated versus bid. And I asked the question is there a dollar value on how much can be negotiated versus having to get a bid?
The answer to that is no. As a category, professional services contracts don't require any competitive bidding process involved at all. It's a matter of negotiation between the town and the contractor who's providing a professional services, such as an architect, a lawyer, a surveyor, a certified public accountant, or other professional. Does that answer your question?
I think so. You're saying that professional services, and that doesn't require any limit on the amount of the contract, and whatever it is, it still doesn't have to go out for bid. And you named some of the professional service that would apply.
That's right. And the
so-
reason that is the case is because competitive bidding is far better suited in a perfect manner for commodities and buying large bulks of commodities and services. The more unique the service provided by a highly educated professional is, the less need there is for a bidding process. That's the
Okay.
public policy purpose behind the exception for professional services.
Okay. And that's law. It has nothing to do with us as a municipality.
Has everything to do with the fact that you're a government entity and a municipality. We're talking about government contracting and purchasing, and this doctrine and the theory that I've just explained perfectly applies to municipal corporation as it does the counties, the state, and the state-created taxing districts and county-created special taxing districts.
Oh.
All right,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Is there any further discussion on this resolution? I know we just, some have just received the engagement letter and may need some time to look through it and ask meaningful questions. Would you like to move on to the next item, or is there any questions you have at this time? Councilmember Noble.
I just wanted to make a statement. I guess from previous experience in the town of Forest Heights with auditors, and I'm just looking at the references that the municipalities that are listed, that there's been more, almost at least a 20-year range for being the auditor in these municipalities. And that was my concern before with our auditor. So the auditor we had before. So I'm looking at, and I guess the references here, I do see someone that I would trust with their reference just to verify, but it just seems strange. I guess government may be a little different than the private sector because we wouldn't keep the same auditor forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. If there's no further discussion, we'll move on to the next resolution this evening. And I think that do we want to bring this one back for the very next meeting? Is that enough time? The next meeting is on February the 19th. Is that enough time to provide some feedback and be prepared for the auditor?
Yeah.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move this to the next item, to the next agenda for February 19th, and that'll be for action. Next, we have Resolution 04-25. And this is a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, to authorize the investment of certain rainy day funds of the general fund and other non-lapsing reserve funds into two accounts of the Maryland Local Government Investment Pool. And this resolution is introduced by mayor and council. We won't be voting on this resolution tonight, so we'll be reading this and providing discussion. And to give a little more background on this resolution, the town of Forest Heights has taken a proactive step to improving its financial efficiency, securing safer higher returns on its idle funds. This not only helps the town meet unexpected financial needs, but also strengthens the overall fiscal health of our municipality, benefiting residents and taxpayers in the long run. Currently, the town's rainy day fund is held in TD Bank with a 0% interest rate. By transferring funds into the MLGIP, which is short for the investment fund, it currently offers a rate of 4.75%. And so the town could significantly improve its earnings on these funds. The increased interest income helps the town maximize utility of public funds, providing more financial resources for services and other needs. This is a secure and safe investment. It's a state-managed investment vehicle specifically designed for local governments, providing a safe and secure option for short-term investments. It is managed professionally with a diverse portfolio, reducing risk for municipalities and ensuring that public funds are invested in a highly regulated and stable environment. The town will be able to maintain flexibility in managing its reserves by setting up two distinct accounts, one for rainy day and one for excess operating funds. This allows the treasurer to monitor the movement of funds and immediate needs and ensures that the funds are available and required for capital projects or unanticipated expenses. There's another number of other benefits to the program, but at this point, I'm going to open it up for discussion from council. Councilmember Brownson.
Yeah, in our Ways and Means Committee on January 25th, the treasurer did discuss this as a form of maybe get more income to the town. And he explained it very well, I thought. So probably for the public, maybe he can explain it again the way he explained it to us. But I just had one question is, and I don't know what he asked that before, is how often do we get a report on the interest or the accumulation of income that's coming back to the town?
Well, I'll take your first suggestion, have Mr. Frankenfield just provide another overview since he's well versed in it, and then to answer your question about how often the reports will be given for the investment income and its balance. Mr. Frankenfield.
Sure, thanks, Mayor. MGLIP is essentially a money market fund for municipal governments. So how we envision this working is the town would maintain 2 weeks worth of cash at TD Bank. So currently at TD Bank, we're not getting any interest, but we're proposing adding this money market fund where we can get interest on all of our cash. So what we would do is we'd keep 100,000, maybe 200,000 at TD Bank to cover payroll, to cover payables, and everything else we would move over to MGLIP to collect interest on it in its downtime when it's just sitting and we're not using it. So like this time of year, we have $1.5 million in cash. We only need a couple 100,000 to get through the next 3 weeks, so we could have the rest of it sitting over in this money market account earning interest. On the reporting, it's the same thing as a bank statement. You get a statement at the end of the month. Here's the interest you earned during the month, which we would record in the accounting and would flow through the budget versus actual reports we provide.
Thank you for that explanation, Mr. Frankenfield. And Councilmember Brownson, did that answer your question? Councilmember Noble, and then I'll come to Council President McDonald.
Yes, how is the interest compounded? Is it compounded daily, or do you know, or is it compounded monthly? And is this from the first of the month to the end of the month, or?
No, it's a daily accrual of interest. So, you know, if we're taking out money mid-month, we'd still get the first 15 days of the interest. It doesn't have to sit there for 30 days to collect the interest like a CD would.
And on the other side of that, will you be able to provide the council, I guess, part of the financial reporting, a report to show that on a monthly basis?
Yeah, we would just format like our current cash reports. We've got 4 columns with all the bank accounts of the town. We just add a 5th column for MGLIP, and it would report consolidated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frankenfield. Council President McDonald.
So, my question is, what would be the risk? Where is this fund? What S&P is this stock a part of? And what is the purpose for us when we get the money? Do we have something in mind that we want to use the funds for? Is the reason why we're taking this route? Thank you.
Sure. So on investments, I can't answer what the underlying investment is. Per their website, they have a AAA rating per Standards and Poor's. Again, it's a state eligible, state approved finance program for Maryland municipalities. So we do have that state level oversight of, is this a risky investment? So I feel very confident that the risk is minimal, but I'm not educated enough to equate that for you. I think we could get the rep if you had questions, but um, it's worked great at my other places. On the funding, what do we do with the interest? It just helps fills our gaps on any other number of things that we need the funding for in the budget. So like if we think about last year, we probably missed out on 50 or 60 grand of interest if we had had this vehicle set up that we could have used for any number of things, even if it dropped back into savings. No, we don't have a projection, but it's just to grow the reserves of the town and help with other budget priorities.
Council President, go ahead.
No, Mr. Frankenfeld answered my question. I think it's just for planning purposes, those things that we have had a pattern of needing funds for, especially those items that we fell short in this past budget year, like, if it be, the events that we want to host for the community, the holiday stuff, those kinds of things, or just have in mind what we would like to use the funds for. So we have some strategic alignment. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Hopefully, if we get into the strategic planning process this year, we'll be able to be very crystal clear about the areas that we want to focus on. And then if we have excess funds, either it can go into reserves, or it can go to support some area in the community, some services provided that benefits the community. But fair point, fair questions. Councilmember Noble.
Question. I know you said the funds are sitting in the TD Bank, drawing no interest now, but TD Bank has different, I guess, structure or levels of investments. So are we getting any more than if we invested in where it is now at TD, or is this a better opportunity?
So we haven't researched what TD Bank's offerings are, but from my experience, this product pays better than what the banks will offer. Banks will offer a sweep program, which means they take the money out of your account at night, go invest it, put it back in the morning, but the interest rates aren't as competitive as this program. So no, but we didn't research TD Bank and what they will offer us, and we can do that.
And I asked that question because the money is in TD Bank now. So thank you.
All right, we've had a healthy discussion on resolution 04-25 and have gotten some instructions for more information. We'll bring this resolution back on the agenda for our next meeting, February 19th. All right, next we will move into new business. And as part of this agenda, there's an attachment. This is a working document, 2025 strategic planning guidance outline. That this is not a final document. This is actually a working document for the council to begin the conversation the council president just mentioned. What are our strategic objectives going to be in town? And this is something that will be probably a multi-month process. But in order to help us start moving into the practice of formulating these ideas, this document just take some assumptions based on what we've heard in the community, what we've heard from council, what we've heard in meetings, and what we think looking at our assets, what our opportunities are and what some of our strengths are. So if you would, please take some time to read through this document, provide feedback, things that you think are hitting the mark, things that maybe need some adjustment or need some additional forethought or clarity. One of the items that's in the budget this year is strategic planning, which would allow us to engage the services of a firm to help us go through engaging the community, bringing them out for sessions to ideate, to discuss the priorities in town. And then after that happens, after the process of engaging the community, talking with staff, talking with council, and looking at what we want to see in foresights for the next 5 years or so. Once the strategic plan is done, this helps us to understand what outcomes we might get out of that process. What deliverables might we get from a team that helps us, such as a strategic plan book, our mission statement, our vision statement, confirming our values for the town, which is both for residents, council, and for the staff. Once the process is done, we would like to adopt the strategic plan as a council so that we can signify to the community that we've decided what we will work toward. And then as we pass items or consider items for legislation, as we think about our events, as we think about what capital projects we will work on, this document and this process will help guide us so that we can come back and say, does it meet one of the objectives we said we wanted to work on, or does it fall outside of that? That could even help us with deciding which grants to go after. If there are grants that support what we've said Foresights is going to prioritize, and we probably should put effort into those. If it is a grant that is nice but falls outside of what we've decided to work on, maybe that's one that will come later on or at a different time, or that we won't pursue, just to keep our effort aligned. I'm going to go to Council President McDonald. Is your hand raised?
No, I was just giving a thumbs up on that statement.
Okay. As it's an item of new business and it was in the agenda when it was delivered, did anyone have a chance to look through so far? Is there any feedback we can gather tonight? Or will this be something we bring back to a later meeting? Councilmember Noble.
Strategic planning is always a great place to be. But I think what happens sometimes, and I can only speak for this municipality, that we've had strategic plans, but and you can look and you can say for 5 years, but if things change or people change, then that just falls to the wayside. And so I just want us to be realistic on what are those things that it's almost like 5 years, and that you want to look at 5, 10, whatever. But at the same time, you must be realistic with the money and right, the leadership and just getting the things done. So I like the idea of strategic planning, but again, it must be engaged with the community, because no matter how many council members, mayors sit up here, it's this town and its residents that we have to be concerned with. And we have residents in this town who are very much aware of strategic planning, probably can offer more so that we have more of a guide where they want to go.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. I agree. I think community is the major component in this. It's a mandate that we get from the folks who pay taxes, the folks who live here. We also bring in other partners, those who do business here, those who are worshiping here or teaching, learning here. And this is, again, just a way for us to understand what we're trying to get out of the process. It's not to determine what will be in it. That will come from the community engagement. That's a piece that we have to have. And I agree with you that if the mandate comes from those who are served, even as different leadership comes in, they may not follow everything to the letter of the line, but they will have something that was based on feedback from the residents, the people who live here, who are affected by the plan, and hopefully give a guide, right? It won't be a manual. It won't be step 1 through 10. But it will give us something that we have put out and said about ourselves as a community and as leaders. I think it's incumbent on us to start somewhere. And I know Councilmember Noble, when you were mayor many years ago, did you introduce the strategic plan, correct? And so you probably can help us with understanding some of the ways that strategic plans have gotten stuck in the past to help us implement and apply lessons learned from your experience.
And on that note, I guess for Mayor Jackie Goodall, she took that plan because it was already here. And she did what she could do because it was a plan. Or, not to reinvent the wheel, but it's just, if something is already there. So, you can appreciate, that's what we have to respect, the elected officials, their visions, and try to, we may have to tweak it a little bit, but just get it going.
Yes, and we have some changes happening in Foresight's, like Foresight's will grow in some areas, we know for sure. And then this plan also helps us to anticipate maybe growth that hasn't happened yet that we think may be on the horizon, adjust to not only growth, but to the technological environment that we're in, the fiscal environment that we're in. We know that a lot of sources of funding, particularly grants, that we've relied on for many years, they may shrink, they may not be available. And so this is an opportunity for us to say, what do we want to see? What do we want to realize and manifest in Foresight's? And we want residents to come and help us to do that. So again, take time, make some suggestions for something maybe that should be included, themes that should be highlighted here. And as we get toward formulating and finalizing this, then we'll be happy to engage. If there's residents who live in Foresight's who have this experience, I think it's good to go to the source and consider people within the community if they can help us bring this plan to fruition. All right. Any other items for new business this evening? Councilmember Noble?
February 12th is the second Wednesday. That's the dementia-friendly South County meeting. We meet virtually, so we can get the Zoom link out for any residents who are interested in that. And February 20th in Annapolis is the Alzheimer's Advocacy Day. So anybody who knows of or who wants to support the advocacy that's being done in the state of Maryland, feel free to come out to Annapolis. It's probably 9 until about 2 or 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. There's 2 items I'll mention under new business. One of them is there's a Maryland Department of Energy flood prediction program grant that the town of Cheverly applied for. And the way that they're doing this is it's a demonstration grant. So they are doing a limited project to understand how this technology works, and other municipalities can benefit from their doing this. So I wrote a letter of support for their application. If their grant is approved and Foresight's is able to participate, we'll bring legislation before the council to consider about participating in this program. As we know, flooding is one of the major issues that our town faces related to infrastructure, and stormwater management is an area we've been working on for, well, I'm not gonna say how long, forever. We've been working on stormwater management forever. And so this is something that may come back before council. We'll keep you updated on the application if it's granted, and bring legislation if so. The other item is more of a fun item, I think. We are at the beginning of the year, so it's a great time to select our time period or our date for Foresight's Day. We have traditionally for many years held it the first Saturday in August. In 2023, we made a change and moved it to September for cooler temps. However, we do have a Harvest Day event that happens in October, and we have Labor Day that happens in September. So we looked at the calendar for the year, and based on feedback and looking at what other items are planned, we could do it. We could return to do it in the hotter parts of the month. part of the year when residents are normally used to it. And the reason for that is a piece of feedback we got was that it may be better to do it when before families return back to school, because in the beginning of September, people are getting back into the school swing, and we may be able to catch them at the end of the year, and also do the book bag and school distribution events around Forsyth State. So instead of having 3 separate events, we could bring the supplies to Forsyth State, and we could bring some of the other items that we try to accomplish into one event at the end of summer before kids return to school. Now, that's just a thought. This is opening the conversations to see where council feels. Councilmember Noble?
Yes, I'm one to say I made a mistake when I thought we needed it to be in a cooler month, because that August, it was just so hot. But I'm back to August. I think we should do it in August.
Anyone else like to weigh in?
I just want to say that I never wanted it to be anything but August, so sounds good.
Okay. Council President McDonald, any thoughts?
I'm open.
Okay. All right. That's all we have for new business. The last items on our agenda for this evening are the department reports.
You have to remember that school starts late in August, so it's not like the last of August. Sometimes school starts like the third.
Yes, I think we'll be looking at early August, probably back to the first weekend. Okay. We'll also reach out and ask Councilmember Kennedy and Councilmember Little as well. I know Councilmember Kennedy is very involved and has been for many years. Before I say, we'd love to get his input. And once we get a date finalized with consensus, then we'll get it out, get a save the date for the community, for the council, and we'll start planning and asking our partners to get ready to help us make one of our best Forsyth Day ever. And hopefully it can even maybe be a continuation of that thing we'll be doing in the warm months where we bring people out. That would be nice. All right. We have department reports. Are there any questions for, I'm going to group them together. Interim Town Administrator, Treasurer, Police Department, or Public Works report for this month. And at this time, we'll give Chief Reese a chance to speak on a question that was raised earlier about a police response, Forsyth's involvement in police response to an incident that happened over the weekend.
Absolutely. So, I believe that was on Saturday evening. There was an incident at the Home Depot parking lot. Obviously with the technology, Home Depot, there's a license plate reader that triggered that it was a fresh carjacked vehicle that entered the parking lot. Prince George's County kind of strategically set up in the parking lot to take down the vehicle. The vehicle became mobilized, went around through the parking lot, then went on the side of PetSmart. I believe that the suspect thought that there was a driveway behind PetSmart, but it's not, it's a dead end. They struck the curb and flipped the car over. And if you're familiar with PetSmart, the rear of it is 495. At the fence line right there is the 495 northbound side. Once they saw the suspect started climbing out of the car, climbed over the fence into 495. This is where Forsyth gets involved, because now the suspect, which is direction from Prince George's County, it's running towards our exit on the southbound side. So obviously they're trying to get the perimeter set. And if you know, it takes a lot of resources to get from that side of Oxon Hill Road to the other side without going through a whole bunch of loops. So that's why we're named in the report, because we were on the call of setting the perimeter. What happened was a and this is all public knowledge, is the individual did successfully cross the northbound side, starting, and then they got into the center median while they were attempting to flee and keep going on the southbound side. They were struck. Sent about 15 feet in the air, came back down, and were struck again by the secondary vehicle. It is noted at this time that there were no police officers behind this person when this happened. All the police officers were on the shoulder of the original side where it happened. So nobody crossed over to the highway to do that. They just kept running. Obviously, with the information that you saw is from the police accountability, which will be coming from the Maryland Attorney General's office, the Independent Investigation Division, which now looks at any cases where that a police involvement has potentially of death or likely of death. That's why it's an automatic trigger. Most likely what's going to happen, and this is from my own experience, is that they're going to come and look at it from a bird's eye view and critique what police did in their tactics and what happened, to see if that maybe contributed to what happened of the death. A report will come out, and if they find that any police officer did anything negligent, anything like that, they will bring it to the office of the state's attorney or whatever county that it happened in, and then it was so forth like that. I was at home when it happened. I did get a call. I talked to the investigator down there. Our guys didn't really. We had to submit body worn camera footage of what they did do, in-car camera footage, and this is one of the reasons why I'm a big proponent of having in-car cameras and body cameras, because of situations like this. You don't leave it up to chance to say what exactly an officer may say that's happened. You can look at it for yourself on the video. They submitted it. What you also see in about 20 days, which is normal protocol, they will release the footage on their website. And then 5 days from now, well, they've already did it. They released the name of the individual. It was a young woman that did it. With the investigation, we don't know if that was the person that did the carjacking earlier, but that doesn't entail what happened. They were setting up for the response, and since it was coming into our area, that's the reason why. So no, that is normally normally what happens. That's what I do. So what I would do is some situation.
Just one moment.
Yes.
Could you restate your question? Was your mic on?
My
Yes,
question
ma'am.
was, does our Forsyth police officer have to be put on desk duty as a result of this?
So this is so what happens is that preliminarily, I will look at the totality of it. Looking at it, if I determine that, hey, I deem that something egregious may have happened, automatically, yes. What has happened is I did issue on Sunday morning, I did issue a notice of investigation to all of the police officers that are involved. So all of them have their notice. There's no reduction in pay. They continue on, but for the law, they are on notice, but they don't have to go to desk duty. Because there's no charges. Now, of course, if charges come, that's when we cross that bridge, but no, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Reese. Council President McDonald.
Actually, I was actually wanting to ask something different from where we are. So are we on this right here? Somebody else has a question about this issue?
We were on the reports, so just generally any questions related to interim town administrator, treasurer, police department, or public works reports.
Okay, interim town administrator. So my question then to Chief Reese is, where are we with updating content on the website? A lot of the stuff that's out there is pretty dated, especially the newsletters and just general information stuff. Just was wondering, because I know that it was in the pipeline for, updates. So I'm just wondering where, what's the status on it? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So I did have the opportunity, I've only been doing this for a couple of weeks now, but I did have the opportunity to actually speak with the project manager, so that this is one of his projects that he is taking on. So with our website, it is called Civics Plus. We are due to get a website upgrade, and which they have standing meetings. He just had a meeting with them last week of new content that they're doing. So what we're doing is we're going to put on the website that our website is under construction. I've already noted that there is some outdated things on our website, but our website is so complicated because it's an old system. And if you think that it's complicated from a public's view, try going back and with the person that does it. It is so complicated. So that's why we're trying to move to a different website. So there's certain things that we are going to try to keep updated. I've talked to our town clerk. I talked to the administrative assistant. Things that we are going to keep updated is we're working on now. We're going to include the board docs, the meeting packet. That's going to be on our current website. That's going to be also posted on social media. Contact information for different departments in the town, that's going to be updated. We've already started that. There was a store thing that still had our old clerk posted on the website. I changed that myself. But that is a work in progress. So the program manager, he did say that we're looking at probably next month for the website to be completed. So what he's doing is all of the old stuff, because we don't want them to just transfer the old stuff to the new website. We have a standard meeting that I'm going to provide him. He's going to gather all of the new stuff, all of the pertinent current items for the website, such as contact information, any things that we are involved with, social media handles, and he's going to include it to the person that at the Civics Plus. So it is a work in progress, but we will put a notice on our current website.
Thank you, Chief Reese. Council Member Brownson.
On the website note, you said you're not gonna transfer old stuff, but some of you're not talking about documents and things.
No. So no, I'm not talking about like ordinances and things
Okay.
that will happen. So there is a portion that what we are doing is we're going to try to pull those old ordinances and try to put them in board docs, so it could be one place that it can go into. So you won't have to go into two systems to find information that you need. So currently right now, if you will, like the ordinances and the resolution that you all are passing now, that's not on the old website. That's why we're going to include it, the board docs link, into the new website, in the current website now. Because it's telling you again, it's so that the old system is so old, it's not going to be able to handle all of the stuff that we have now. So that's why we're not going to add anything new to it. What is going to, so if residents wants to know, hey, there's a resolution that was just passed, we're going to have a link right there next to the old archive stuff to say, resolutions 2024, this is where you get them at. Anything 2025, this is where you get it. So it'll be a clear path of where they need to go, but we're not going to update the old one until we get to the new transition.
Thank you, Chief Reese. Yes, Chief Reese knows the administrative department has been tasked with several items to pay attention to as it relates to getting information out, letting it be accurate, and giving people the information they need. We have several benchmarks we're looking at to achieve the correct level of information and that it's accurate. That's something we want to do repeatedly. We want to do that with excellence. So thank you for those updates, Chief. Councilmember Noble.
On that note, can we watch our electronic board out there? Because it's
There's some items that are outdated that need to be taken off.
And it's just so much that no one can see it unless they're walking. So, and even if you're walking, someone's gonna push you along, you just get out the way.
One of the things we're working on is we know that there's a lot of information we need to put out, and the electronic board is only able to carry so much that people can absorb. So we're actively reaching out and asking residents if you have an email address and you'd like to receive a digital version of the newsletter or information as it becomes available throughout the month. We want to move to a model where we can send information out weekly or biweekly for those who have email. And we also are going to take feedback on there being maybe sometimes too many items on the board, then also a schedule for reviewing and updating and removing items as they are no longer relevant. Thank you for the
Could
feedback.
we take welcome to Forest Heights? That could be one less, because by the time you get to it, you've missed a whole lot of other things.
But how often is it updated? Can it be updated daily?
So, yes, so that's one of the directives from the mayor. So what we're doing is, anytime that you may see that the website is updated, that social media is updated, everything's gonna be updated at one time, and also pushing that same communication out. Then, of course, now the things that we are going to control for the electronic board is if an event has already passed, we're gonna immediately take it down. There's also, I'm working with, Miss Payne. So it will set a date and time. So for example, if the event is done on today's date, the 3rd, 12 o'clock, it'll automatically come down. So somebody won't have to manually pull it down. Because the issue is that if somebody's out or something like that, they may be on leave. They have to know the system to take it back out. So now we're going to set it as automation for to automatically do that and send things out as well.
Thank you for the feedback. Council President McDonald, I see your hand raised.
I just had a question. Is it too much to ask for, when we're in the meeting, the resolutions be put on the screen? Because it's helpful when we have people who are on the screen to be able to see what is being discussed in the room.
It's a good suggestion, Council President, and I think it's one of the reasons why I brought my report online today, because I think that we can show more in the meeting to make it more engaging, more informative for residents. So we will, and Chief nodded affirmative, we're going to work between now and the next meeting to integrate more information that can be shown on the screen as part of our meetings. And I would also say, in addition to resolutions and other proclamations and information like that, for next meeting this month, if council members have updates that are ready before the meeting, you can send them to, I was going to say me. You can send them to me and I'll include them so we can have, instead of it just being the mayor's report, the council members can also have their information. If you have pictures or you have typed items that you want to show on the screen, I'll add those items in and we can have them come up so we can show everyone together something that they can see that's visible. So if someone's at home and they can't listen the whole time, they can go back and see it on the screen. And visual, I think, works well. No, let's say if you can get it to me.
I couldn't hear.
Councilmember Noble was asking, when would I like you to send it to me?
Okay.
I'm going to ask for a couple days. If you can get it to me by Monday, which is going to be February the 17th, that's a holiday. So either by Monday, I'll make sure to include it on the slide deck and we'll make a section for each of the wards. Yes. 2 days before the meeting. That way it gives you, there's some last minute things happening. You can get stuff in. And be sure to include pictures and other things that we can throw in to make it engaging. Thank you for the suggestion, Council President. Thank you, Chief. One more thing? Sure.
So I won't have to go back to this. Councilwoman Brownson had mentioned something earlier. If you, about the annexation, where we're at, going down the Kirby Hill Road, you look at, the project manager, Mr. O'Connor's report. He did say that the, CPJ, which is the firm, everything has been transferred to the attorney. He's going to review it and you should see something in resolution to the body, and probably in the next, probably we said in April. March or April, so it should be coming. So it is in progress. I found that out. I found that out. Unless the attorney wants to say where it is, because he says it's in his wheelhouse.
Yes, I did receive it a
Mr.
few
Best,
days
if you
ago.
could.
Yes, I did receive it a few days ago. It's on my list of things to do.
Thank you, Mr. Best.
Sure.
Oh, we don't want to leave tonight, huh? Councilmember Noble.
Just one thing as it relates to annexation. I had it on my notes here for Ways and Means, but we've talked about it. Oh, is it Old Heights? I passed some Old Heights townhouses right here off of Livingston Road.
On the other side of
Right.
Comanche.
And I don't know how many.
Old Town,
Yeah,
Old Town, Old Town Heights.
Old Town Heights, okay. Old
Mhm.
Town. About annexation, because we know that's a community, we know that's a tax base. We know it's not a lot of houses, and I think that's manageable in Greenville.
Good suggestion. Thanks for raising that. I haven't, we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. We'll broach a conversation and see what's there. Councilmember Brownson?
Yeah, I thought when we talked about annexation, it was analyzing, giving annexation to where there's not when you annex residents, it's a whole different ballgame because you have to get approval and all. It's not as simple as annexing business versus residents. Well, no, they haven't agreed to.
Well, but a certain percentage of the registered voters that live there
Right,
do.
yeah.
But what we'll do is we'll broach a conversation because we can just say, hello, neighbor, and figure out what they need. If there's something we offer that they can, yep. And we also have the potential of having a conversation with our neighbors across the street from Livingston Road. I know it's been broached in the past about Birchwood City and Clearview. They have a civic association, but what we'll do is try to set up a meeting with them to see what they need, if there's things we can learn, and if there's a partnership there as well. So similar situation to both, because Old Town Heights also has some kind of an association. It may be a condo association or something along those lines.
Yeah, I was mentioning this before, is that when we start annexing businesses, residents and stuff like that, and cutting the police department at the same time, it just doesn't work itself out. Because right now, if we cut the police department, we're not gonna want to do, but they can't do it all. So even if you bring it in a business or residence, if you're gonna increase the area that they have to patrol, then you need to increase the manpower.
Well, thank you for your points. A lot of good conversation this evening. I think we've got a lot of work to be done between now and next meeting, but we also got a lot of good direction about stuff we can work on, start planning and initiating and following up on. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Oh,
make a
second.
motion.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second? It's been motioned and seconded that we
Second.
adjourn. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? 10:31, 10:13, 10:13. Time is 10:13. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.